Let me tell you how we're using Collabora Online at 1&1 Mail and Media. Mail and Media has these brands, maybe you know them, GMX, Mail.com, Web.de. The customers have access to email, calendar, cloud storage, and others. My favorite is Online Office. As you can probably guess and see, Online Office is based on Collabora Online. We have two components, Collabora Online, two ways of interacting with it, a viewer and an editor. For the viewer, we call the Convert to REST API, and you get a nice PDF preview inside the browser with your documents content. Whether you're managing your files in the cloud or reading your email with documents attached, you can choose to preview or to edit those documents. Thanks. There's also a thumbnail service that mostly sits in the background and generates small pictures of the document's content for you to help you know what's inside. And we also have this cool feature for German customers that we call hybrid mail. It also interacts with the viewer. Hybrid mail allows you to generate and to send real letters. Suppose you need to send a physical letter to someone. We have templates with placeholders for the address in the right place, in the right position. So all you need to focus on is writing your actual letter. And when you're done with it, you go into the menu, you say you want to send this out, and we show you this form where we just fill the address of the recipient. After that, we show you a PDF preview inside the browser with how your letter would look like if you printed it, including the address. And if you're happy with the result, you don't need to print it, you just click that button, and we send your letter to Deutsche Post, and they send it for you. The recipient gets something like this, real letter. Convenient, isn't it? Another cool feature that we're working on is what we call text injection. We had to make some changes in the LibreOffice core for that. And that's something you may want to use for contracts, for example, where you have large bodies of text that mostly don't change. But you do have some variable parts like the name of the person or the contract number. If you define those variable parts as bookmarks inside the document, and maybe also place those inside frames, so you don't break the layout with variable length strings, then you could, at runtime, inject strings into those bookmarks. So you could have maybe some nice UI, not like that, that's just for development, but you could have some nice UI integrated with Cool that would allow you to just fill some values in a form and inject them at runtime. But that's just some plan for the future. Okay, I showed you some of the things we are doing with Collabora Online. Now, just a few words about what the setup looks like. Consider the client side and the server side. On client side, we have the nice, cool UI that you all know and love, integrated as an iframe inside our web user interface. Then, on the server side, we have multiple components. The main one, of course, is Cool. And between Cool and the front end, we have some middleware that acts as a proxy and load balancer and also doing some other kinds of things. On the other side, between Cool and the cloud storage, we have something we call the storage adapter. What it does is to translate the requests between the WOPI protocol used by Cool and the API of our cloud, which doesn't speak WOPI. This is how pieces are tied together. And also there are other components, smaller, that didn't mention here. This is how they are all tied together. But in order to support hundreds of active simultaneous connections, we obviously need many more instances of each. Most instances are for Collabora Online because that's where the heavy processing takes place. But there are also quite a few of the others. These many instances, we make them as Docker containers, and we deploy them to Kubernetes. The way we deploy them is by defining some Helm charts, which specify the kinds of resources this should get, and so on. And speaking of resources, just to get you an idea of the current scale of deployment, we currently have more than 50 pods for the editor and more than 25 pods for the viewer. There is a single Cool instance per pod, and each pod has access to 2 CPU cores and a limit of 6 GB of RAM. With this kind of resources, we can easily accommodate editing on average 600 documents at the same time. And during 24 hours, we get 35,000 documents on average edited and more than 700,000 edited, viewed viewed and converted documents. Of course, all of this would not have been possible without the amazing product that is Collabora Online. So we would like to thank Collabora Productivity, the cool community, and the LibreOffice community for creating such an amazing Office suite. Thank you.